First and foremost, I'd like to thank you for watching my video. And I'm going to start right here. A bar is still worth $5 when wrought into a horseshoe is worth $10. If made into needles, it is worth $350. If into penknife blades, it is worth $32,000. If into springs for watches, it is worth $250,000. What a drilling the poor bar must undergo to be worth this. But the more it is manipulated, the more it is hammered and passed through the fire and beaten and pounded and polished, the greater the value. What's the moral of this story is? The moral of this story is you're going through something. It's preparing you for something better than where you are at today. You have a purpose, you have a mission in this life. And I want to just touch bases with you on the things that I express here. My background from my early childhood, I was kind of like the church house mouse. I was there all the time. We had Sunday school. We had morning service. We had what they call BYP training in the evening. I mean, it was like 24/7. I came from a Baptist background. I grew up in the church. Matter of fact, everybody there was my relatives, cousins and uncles, whole church. So when I use biblical terms, I'm using those terms to demonstrate or try to express my heart knowledge as to what you're dealing with. And I'd like to also say to you that I volunteered for the draft in 1970, and I came out for it was for 2 years. I spent let's see, it was about 3 months in Tacoma, Washington, Fort Lewis, Washington. That's why I got my basic training. For my basic training, I was stationed in at Fort Ord, California, which is Monterey, California, Malibu, Salinas. That peninsula I knew like the back of my hand. It was a beautiful place then. This was in the 70s. And I'm going to try to cut through the chase. I was there to get training to become a supply clerk, issue out blankets, because I was like, okay, I can do that. But once I got my orders, I went through another process. I was a candidate. They call it at that time they call it the ASA. Now they call it the Homeland Security Agency. You know, like the CIA, the people that listen in on you, those individuals. Well, I was a candidate. So by me being a candidate, I was blessed as to be able to choose where I wanted to go. So I didn't wind up in Vietnam. I wound up in Frankfurt, Germany. And by that time, I was kind of like, wow, what have I got myself into? So let's cut through the chase. Once I got there, this sergeant, you seen those sergeants, but they got stripes all the way down to the hand from the shoulder. They've been in there a long time, like probably 30 years. So anyway, make a long story short, he says, well, you're not going to be a supply clerk. Although, I'm like, well, what? You're going to be the administrative battalion clerk. You're going to implement the United States Code of Conduct. And I'm like, what? I'm like 20 years old. United States Code of Conduct is court martials, Article 15. They just strip you for whoever. You could be a captain tonight, and in the morning you'll be what they call a private. That's what they were doing when I was there. So my heart goes out to those soldiers, those veterans that put their life on the line and then kicked out to the street, kind of like a tampon. You know, when you use them up. They did me a favor by putting me in that position. And one thing I learned, well, there was several things. The one thing I learned was that's the biggest racist organization you want to be part of. The other thing is, don't put your trust in man. Put your trust in God. And I want to thank the government for the OJT, on-the-job training they gave me. I was blessed. I was blessed. I mean, wow. And that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. But I wanted to just bring that to you because when I mention warriors, that's where I'm coming from. You know, it's two kinds of warriors. There's the one that's out there in the Pentagon shuffling papers. And then there's the one in the trenches. We're warriors. We're all warriors. We're in a spiritual warfare. That's why I talk about, when I mention warriors, I'll give you demonstrations of whatever I'm saying about a warrior. That's where I'm coming from. And the other thing is, you know, we have what I call, once you have been that training, you have what they call you're like a mercenary. And you must go from mercenary to a missionary. That's where, when I'm speaking and when I'm doing these videos, that's where I'm coming from. And the other thing I learned, most of the people I was around, because I was administrative battalion clerk, I was around generals. And they had conversations. And I'll tell you one conversation, I mean, I would listen to them. The one thing the generals knew, I mean, they knew this like the back of their hand. They knew if you don't plan on failing. If you don't plan, if you don't have no strategy, don't worry about it, you're going to fail. So here we are. I just wanted to touch bases with you, so when I mention warrior, or I say something that's coming, you know, that's biblical, it's just my former background, my experience. And I've said it and I'll say it again. There's head knowledge and there's heart knowledge. And I'm coming from my heart experience. And that's the one greatest thing. You know, there's a saying, what man gives you, man can take it away. What God gives you, no man can take it away. So here we are, and we're talking about that inner being that you have that you need to tap into. Now, I personally, I'm not sure if I mentioned it to you, you need to start writing things down, like the blueprint. I personally, this is what I have. This is a, I don't know if you can see it. It's a legal pad. And I'm scratching on this thing all the time. And most of the things I'm scratching or writing down are things that I've encountered or I read. And there was I read one time he was out on the ranch and sitting on the porch, and he took out this whittling knife, you know, a knife he used to whittle, and there was a piece of wood there, mahogany wood, just a piece of wood. And he picked the wood up, the mahogany wood, and he started chiseling or whittling holes in it. So the mahogany wood, all of a sudden, he said, well, why are you making these holes? Why are you, whittling these holes in me? And the person that's whittling, he didn't pay no attention. He just kept whittling holes, whittling holes. You know, and wood was crying, complaining. Now the wood was just there, laying there. But the end product was a flute. He took that piece of wood and turned it into a flute. Now what is the flute? It soothes man's soul. It soothes man's soul now. It has a purpose. But it had to go through a little suffering, pain. I'm under 10 minutes, and I want to say this to you. And this is the truth, it coming from my heart. The people that are going to hurt you the most is family. It's family. But that pain is just like what I just read to you. There's something in you that needs to be eradicated. You know, it has to be eradicated. You just can't trim the limbs. You got to uproot it. Uproot it. Take the whole root out. Just rip it. So a lot of these things that are happening to you, that are coming to you, loss of job, financial distress, all of those different things, that's part of getting you ready. I'm under 11 minutes. The other story, most of these stories that I share with you is something I was doing when I was caring for I was a primary caregiver for my parents, and I tell you, the other thing is the word is deserted, by yourself. So I'm here and I'm reading all these different, just so many different things. And this is the stories that I'm sharing with you. But all the time that I'm over here, that I've gone through all these different experiences, it's clear to me what was happening. It was clear to me, and I kind of knew it. Excuse my grammar. I knew it. All I had to do is just stop the complaining and let God do his work. We're under 12 minutes. I want to thank you for watching my video. And those veterans, they're veterans that are right now homeless, the veterans that don't have any medical benefits. It's coming to you. You're going to be able to do something. Personally, you sacrificed your life. Your rewards are on their way. You're going to be able to, once this, I personally believe the single payer health insurance plan is going to help a lot of people. So I just want to shout out to the veterans. One is disabled, has disabilities. Your rewards, you're going to get compensated. And especially those primary givers that are taking care of their loved ones, that are by themselves. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to shut it down right here. I'm under 13 minutes, and I just want to say, like I always say, shalom. And I really believe and I hope that you enjoy this video. And I did some math, so we're looking at probably 7 hours and 30 minutes. Shalom. Bye.